tell us a bit about yourself anyway.
Yeah, my name's Robert, 49, from West Virginia here in the United States. And I am an exercise physiologist. I have a master's degree in exercise physiology. I've been in the health and wellness business for 25 years, and kind of my, I don't know, side hobby or life's journey has been kind of more, a big spiritual one. Been always interested in that. Was raised in a Christian home, and just was pretty consumed by spirituality. And my father married a Buddhist, and so I was exposed to that. And then hitting life and hitting some of life's interesting challenges, I kind of dove deeper into spirituality and different aspects of it, and philosophies as well. All in the time is working and seeking and working and family life, and through some bad circumstances, losing a sister, I think it thrusted me deeper into a search for understanding of God and everything, and this existence, I guess.
Yeah.
And
how old were you when you lost your sister?
30. No, I was I was 28, 29.
Oh, geez, that must have been tough.
Yeah, it was a rough go, because it really changed my perspective of life, God, life, everything. And it really ended up what I found, and I guess what was enlightening to me about reading this stuff about Jeremy was, I I actually saw my own internal struggle with God, and how that battle, I guess, it really made me understand that battle between instinct and intellect. And plus, being in the health and wellness business, I study a lot of the brain and neurochemicals and stuff and wellness. So fascinated with brain science and just the health and longevity of the body as well as the brain.
Yeah.
And so when I was actually studying something on the brain when I came across that on YouTube at the advertisement for that transformation. And basically the advertisement said, under a solution to the human condition.
Yeah.
Which it immediately caught me, because I was like, I always talk about the human condition, and I always talk about a lot of people struggling, and listened and read a lot of stuff, listened to a lot of stuff, and searched a lot of stuff, but somebody claiming that they have the actual solution for the human condition, I was like, I gotta listen to this. And I tell you what, when I saw the interview and the stuff he was saying, and I think I was already kind of coming to certain conclusions, and the way he put it and the way this was presented and the science that was presented, just, I mean, a light bulb just instantly went off, and I was like, oh wow. I was like, I think that's the answer. That's the absolute answer. Yeah. And so ever since, I've just been fascinated by it, and been almost kind of nonstop listening to the videos. And I did the audio book of the smaller book, The Transformation, smaller book, and listening to interviews and everything, and really trying to get into the nitty gritty and trying to process it even more, trying to get to his science on everything and all that. So it's been an awesome journey to actually dive into this. And the more I'm diving into it, I'm just having more light bulbs come off. I have some questions, but then whenever I listen to something else or read something else, it's kind of like, okay, that fits and it answers. I think I can answer that question through what he's talking about. And yeah, it's just, I'm still going. I'm on the dogma the
Oh,
Dogma
yeah.
book,
Death by Dogma.
Death by Dogma. I'm kind of halfway through it, and I am absolutely intrigued. Just how he pieces it all together. It's just I'm blown away by it. And in turn, understanding Buddhism and studying Buddhism, practicing even meditation in Buddhism, and what I also found unbelievably fascinating is the enlightenment of Buddha, being able to meditate and basically shut off the mind, kind of. And I kind of related to, you know, the brilliance of Buddha, and I thought he was like a modern day, he was like the first psychologist, in my opinion, just because he was able to recognize the craziness of the mind and how we just need to quiet it down and basically center and quiet it, in a sense, and oversimplifying it. But after listening to this, I was like, it's almost like that quietness of the mind, and the quietness of the mind that I like was almost quieting that struggle that Jeremy describes, so it is that struggle that plays, I think, in the back of an individual's head, whether you know it or not, in the subconscious portion of the brain that just kind of lingers there, that elephant in the room, he calls it. And even in the practice of meditation, you kind of realize that meditation actually just quiets that conflict. And so you're able to function a little bit better, a little bit easier. Keeps coming back, so you have to meditate more to quiet that conflict. And it was like, when I heard when I heard this and read this, I was like, oh my God, that's the actual source of all that noise in your brain, and actually knowing that that's the source and understanding that. Once I heard that and felt like, wow, that's the source of the commotion. And that's how I described, and I put them on Facebook posts. It's almost an instantaneous sense of peace, because it almost, it's like whenever you know the diagnosis of something and you know where it's coming from, you can better pinpoint how to shut it off. I think the only way I can explain it is kind of shut that off almost instantaneous, almost instantly, because I understood it. I understood the source.
And there you go, right there. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, when did you start looking at it all?
2 days ago.
Oh, right. Well, there you go.
Been that quick. And already the stuff that's kind of diving in. That's why I'm kind of a little bit obsessed about it, because it initially answered so many questions. It initially gave me an instant sense of peace. And that's what triggered it, was instantly hearing that. I instantly felt at peace. And I was like, whoa, what was that? And then the more I kept going into it, I could start understanding religion, brain science. Religion made sense. History made sense. The history of religion, all the different religions made sense. Philosophy started making sense. My wife made more sense. I mean, everything started making more sense and so the more I just keep diving into this, and it's like you said, I'm new at this, and I'm kind of fresh at this, but the more I'm getting into it, I can see the applications through everything, like you said, politically, just on an unbelievable scale, just understanding how it applies to just everybody understanding everything, and you can be a little bit more just, for lack of a better term, more intellectual about everything. You just see everything as it is. This is what happened. Like you said, there's not even any emotion about it. Like you said, you're not angry at anybody about it. Nobody's bad. It's just, wow, this is what's going on with everybody. And we're all just, this understanding actually gives you more compassion towards people, because you realize that they're battling. they're struggling, you know what I mean? Because they don't know what the heck, why they're even doing what they're doing, because they don't understand this, you know. And you're just constantly searching for something to relieve that conflict.
Yeah.
But you got to understand the conflict. Where's the conflict coming from? And that's why this is so amazing, because it's like, that's the conflict, you know. So the Adam Stork story is the one that really just nailed me. That was the light bulb that went off. That was the oh wow, instantaneous sense of peace. Because I was even obsessed with the Adam and Eve story for a while, you know, understanding that resolution or that reconciliation. I never could understand that. Like, you know, I just couldn't understand that story. And I read the, you know, Kabbalah view of it, you know, Christian view of it, multiple Christian views of it, thousands of preachers' views on it, thousands of discussions on it, because I thought that was I've always said Adam and Eve is you know, this is where it's all started. All the answers aren't Adam and Eve. You know, this whole religious answers and God answer and man's reconciliation with God, it's all in Adam and Eve. So I studied it in and out, all interpretations of it. And as soon as I saw that the Adam Stork story, I went, oh my God. I was like, there it is. There's the story. That's the story right there. Yeah. I just was blown away by it. I'm still blown away by it. Totally blown away by it. Just that one visual, like you said, that one visual right there just really speaks volumes. When I listen to this, like I said, it was just an instantaneous, almost like I feel fulfilled. Like I said, I think my first comment that I made on the actual site itself, the first comment I made is I felt like a boulder was lifted off my shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I felt like. I felt like all this noise in my head and this weight just was like gone. And now I'm like, I feel better. Like I feel just better, like about even this existence, you know. Yeah, it's just really wild. It's really wild. That's why I said I really gotta I'm gonna keep reading more.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating about this is you know, in terms of speaking in spiritual terms of enlightenment, us kind of spiritual people that, you know, have my spiritual clique that I kind of talk to, and it's kind of like, you know, the only way to a world enlightenment is to self-enlightenment, you know. So there is no kind of convincing anybody of anything else. It's just they have to understand truth and they have to get to their own enlightenment. And when everybody reaches their own enlightenment, everybody lives in a enlightened state and everybody's happy. And that's what's fascinating about this as well, is just this truth, understanding the truth of our human journey is that. I mean, that's what it is. That's truth. That is truth. And it's the same thing. If everybody understands that truth, understands the truth of humanity and how we evolve, then it really seems like everything will naturally fall into place. And like you said, less suffering, because we just would exist in a world that's innately good.
Did you see that Adam Stork story in the interview? Is that was your first experience of it?
Yeah, the interview. And then as soon as I saw the Adam Stork, as soon as I saw that, as soon as he started talking about the Adam Stork story, I was just, that got me. Yeah, that one just was like instantaneously.
Yes.
Because I studied, like I said, because of my, and I know it's because of my obsession with Adam and Eve and understanding that.
Yeah.
Trying to understand that reconciliation with God. You know, I knew there was a story there about reconciling with God. And I was trying to figure out how do you get past that point? And I couldn't figure out, that's why I studied it so much, because there's a state of being we were in. And I do kind of, even studying Kabbalah, the Kabbalah actually, I listened to a couple rabbis on the study of Adam and Eve through the Kabbalah, and they talk about that it's a self-awareness, it's a state of self-awareness, but they didn't really, nobody explained it like this though, like Jeremy. And I get that. Okay, self-awareness. What do you do with that? Okay, so we did become self-aware. What is that? It's still presented as something bad, like it's bad, like this is a bad thing. And so you innately ought to always think that you're bad. Developing consciousness was bad, and this was bad. And how do we get to that perfect state again? It's virtually impossible. But maybe there's another way. Maybe there's another way there. So there's another way I get there, through meditation, through these practices or whatever. Yeah. So whenever he said that story, and it was just like, no, they're the heroes. It almost sounds blasphemy at first. If you're a religious person, it sounds a little bit like a blasphemy, but you're like, no, wait a second. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, like I said, that was it. And I was like, that blew me away. Yeah. So when I revisited our first conversation, I was kind of, one of my big things I kept talking about was, I had really had to kind of get into this to understand why I got such a relief, why it instantly gave me such an amazing sense of peace. And I really had to dig down in there and kind of like, man, why did that do that? Why did that give me that feeling? And, jump forward a few months now, and looking into it even more, and realizing that big story of humankind, of our evolution and humankind, actually, the Adam Stork story is what hit me hard. And it really evolved and really put together the whole story of humanity. And that gave me an instant sense of peace. But it was at such a deep level. I was like, I gotta figure this out. Why did I feel that way? And then I realized that kind of that whole story of humanity itself that Jeremy really talks about. You take that, and I realized that we all in our own lives, and you brought it out wonderfully in this conversation, talking about, right when we come out from the womb, right when we come out from the womb, we're thinking we're going to be, this love and everything. And then all of a sudden we get all this contradiction, thrown at us, and, you have to do this, and this isn't good, and you're not good unless you do this. And, you're starting to get judged right off the bat. And that's what struck me, was this whole big story of humankind. I really was able to place that into my individual life, and really replay my life from my childhood to adulthood, and really see it play out, and what I struggled through, and actually then play out what my parents actually struggled through in raising me, and doing, implanting certain thoughts and contradictions in my head, and, not, and loving them for it, because they don't know any better. They're struggling, and they had to, they're just figuring life out, and they raise kids just based off of what they know. And then here, I really got to see my life play out. And then even my role as a parent, I even saw that play out in this light, in Jeremy's light and understanding. And I guess that's what really, it actually, it's such a, seeing that is so individually healing. It's so individually healing. And then understanding, then seeing how this plays out in all of humanity as well, or in our evolution, is also amazing. It plays out in our individual lives, and it plays out in humanity's life. you know, in the humanity's journey. And yeah, that's just fascinating. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it is so healing. That's why I can't, you know, every time I comment on Facebook and stuff, I'm just like, this is, you know, this will heal humanity, you know, because it heals you as an individual. It heals you as an individual.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I get caught up in the integrative meaning, and how even Jeremy brings up the story of Buddha, you know, and Buddha said, you know, Buddha talks about, you know, in the future, everybody will be a Buddha, because everybody will have this enlightenment. When everybody has that enlightenment, then the whole world will be enlightened. And that's what this, you know, that's what it does. It self-heals you. So you go through this self-enlightenment, just going through your whole own personal journey in life, and you see it from a totally different view, and it heals you. And that's the enlightenment. That's the enlightenment. Yeah, Jeremy's work, and you playing that into your life and seeing how that plays out is the enlightenment. And that's, yeah, it's fascinating. You know, there's so many people that are searching for that. You brought up Eckhart Tolle last time. You mentioned him, and yeah, these guys, they have these books and these big followings, and it's kind of like, and I loved reading them and listening to them, and getting some good information from them. But what is it? You know, what is that enlightenment? They only take you, it only goes, you only go so far, and it's actually an unrealistic state. It's a really an unrealistic state. You can't just shut off your brain and shut off who you are. You know what I mean? You're a human being. You can't just shut that off,
Yeah.
and live, you know, in this life as they expect. And that's why it's like, you know, Jeremy explains it, you know, this enlightenment that they think is there. It's not there. That's not the enlightenment. This is Jeremy's work is the enlightenment of really connecting with who you are as a human being. You know, really, you embrace who you are as a human being, and understand that consciousness and how we developed in that conflict. And when you understand that, that's the enlightenment. I told you the funniest response was from my wife, and she's, you know, after a while of getting into this, and she's the one who made the comment. She's like, you're really different. I was like, yeah. I was like, I just feel different. And then like another couple weeks went by, and this was funny, because a couple other weeks went by, and I was talking to her, and I said, made the comment, boy, I was like, you know, since I discovered this, I said, there's just a lot of good things happening around me. I said, just everywhere, a lot of good things happening. And she laughed, and she said, you know, she's like, nothing around you has changed. She said, except for you, and you just changed, and now you see the good in everything. And I had to laugh. I had to laugh at that, because I was like, you know, maybe that's the case, that now I can just see the good and see the positive. And you know, it doesn't mean I don't have some little, you know, stress at work and everything, but it's just so different the way you view everything. And she notices that you know, it was always like a big joke that, you know, you know, I intimidate everybody, and because I you know, I have this little scowl on me all the time, and I'm kind of intimidating to some people, and I'll get a little grumpy and stuff, and it's like it's not there. It's like it's gone. I don't even it's gone. I don't have to feel that way. I just don't even have to feel that way. It's kind of comical. It's like, there's no need for me to feel that way. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's so great. Just here in America, getting bombarded by the news and what's happening in this liberal woke culture that's happening over here. It's tough. It's tough, especially now that I see, you know, my eyes are even open more with Jeremy's, you know, work, and understanding the left, and almost how kind of it's like, boy, what a battle we have over here, because the mass chaos and confusion of the whole family unit of can't even figure out, they're letting their kids, and the parents are pushing this, to just to decide their own sex, their own gender. And these kids are going to be, you talk about resigning. I mean, these kids are just going to be so lost. And so it gets a little rough over here, and I know, and that's why I love this movement. And like I said, that's why I love the Facebook group, and I love these conversations, because it really gives you hope again, and knowing that, this work is, it is a must. And if there's any way that I could play out the rest of my life, I didn't expect to get emotional. Sorry, Tony. I really didn't. This is out of the blue. This is out of the blue here. But yeah, if there's anything I want to dedicate the rest of my life to, it would be that more people have to understand this, because we have to raise another generation. We have to raise the next generation understanding this, so that they don't have to go through what we went through. They don't have to they don't have to sit there questioning themselves why. They don't have to sit there and ask why throughout their whole lives, while they're trying to even just go to school, while they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives, and still have this whole why in the back. And then get rid of the why right from the get-go, and just be free from the get-go to be like, I know why everybody acts this way. I know why the world is this way, and it's okay. And I can navigate this life a little bit better. And then they can choose a mate that understands this information, and then they can raise their children to know this.
Yeah.